Thank you. So I guess I don't need to introduce myself again, but we also have Evan up here, and he is Jamaica's helper. He's with us today. So a little bit of my background, I have a degree in computer science, and I've done a little bit of programming here and there. And Jamaica is my sister-in-law, and when I started dating her brother, I would go over to their house, and they were just constantly having problems with their computers and having trouble getting software to work with other software, and going on different websites were very difficult for her, and they're just always frustrated. And as soon as they found out I was into computers, they just implored me to try to fix this problem. So one thing that we came up with was, well, we could talk to people more about what it's like to use a computer when you can't see or when you have very low vision. So today it's not going to be a very technical talk. I just want to show you what it's like to use a computer when you don't have any vision at all. And yeah, we've done this talk a few other times for university class and for a computer group out at Athens Tech. And I'm really excited to be here for you guys today, because you guys are actually building things that people use, and it should be good. So let's see. There we go. I just wanted to explain how many people are affected by visual impairment or total blindness. And visual impairment is a term that's used to describe anybody with really low vision all the way through to blindness. And people with visual impairment might not have, center vision. They might only have peripheral vision, or they have, where they can only see light and dark, or all the way like Jamaica, where she's totally blind, and blindness affects about over 1 million Americans, and like this says, visual impairment affects over 12 million Americans. So it's a large group of people here in our country that experience issues. And so also I'm going to be using the term accessibility, and I'm sure you guys all know that term, but just to go over it again, it just refers to the design of products or devices or services for people who experience disabilities. So it can be something in the physical world, but also something in, software in the computer. So one thing I always just kind of assumed was that technology, surely it improves the lives of people with visual impairments, right? There's got to be new tools out there that makes things better, and there are, and it's great, but it also can bring about a lot more frustration to just daily getting things done. And so we're going to talk about that just a little bit. I would say there are things out there that can empower people and include people. Jamaica is able to check the website of her church and find out when things are going on, or she can participate in group chats, and it's a really nice way for her to keep in touch with people that she's met that live in other places. It's very easy, and she loves it. But it also can exclude people if a website is not accessible, meaning she can't get to it to read the information that's there, then she can't participate. And it's frustrating. It's so frustrating. And it can be complicating. So there are things I call super technology. A couple of cool things I do want to talk about that's really exciting. There's something called OrCam, which are glasses, kind of like Google glasses, but they have a camera, and they sort of tell the person who's wearing them what they're looking at. So it can read street signs, it can read menus, it can read labels. It also has facial recognition technology. And it's a very young technology, and they're working on it, I think, in Jerusalem. The people that started are from there, but it seems to be it's going to be a very promising tool, especially for people with low vision. They can still get around independently, and this just kind of enhances things for them. There's a really cool app called Be My Eyes, which I have it on my phone. It's it was just for iPhones, but they're about to release an Android app too, where if somebody with visual impairment has that on their phone and they need help with something and they don't have assistance with them right there, they can open the app and contact somebody, and it'll open up a video connection with them. So my phone will ring and I'll answer it, and it'll be somebody on the other end that maybe needs help reading a label or determining an expiration date or just something really quick like that. It's a really cool idea, you know, as kind of like crowdsourcing help from a lot of people. I've gotten one call and then I couldn't get it connected fast enough, but I think right now there's a lot more volunteers, sighted volunteers than there are people that need it. One thing that's also been really awesome are voice-driven assistants. Jamaica got an Amazon Echo, and so she uses Alexa and she loves it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
It's so cool because it's a really nice way for her to get information that we get so quickly just looking at our smartphones, and she can just ask Alexa, like, what are some things you ask her?
What's the weather for the next 7 days?
Yep.
And
Yeah.
it will tell you. It will tell me. What's the horoscope? And it will tell me. What's the stock market doing? Which that one's not working right now, so I can't access that.
But sort of these daily things that are
Yes.
changing a lot, that's a really nice thing for her. We have looked into using it for her TV, but for some reason we just couldn't get it working, but I see a lot of potential there. There's something coming out with Alexa specifically, I think, where she can connect it to her phone, and that I think will be really neat.
Yes.
And then one other thing that I never really thought about, but obviously now with TVs, we have all these interactive menus and DVRs that we use. None of them are accessible for people with visual impairment, and so except Comcast now has Comcast X1 that I guess, is it a remote or?
Yes, it is a remote that you can get, and it automatically will talk to you and tell you.
It'll read
yeah,
the menu to you.
Yes, yes.
So that I think would be great. Unfortunately, Comcast doesn't service her area, but hopefully they will be sort of an industry leader and encourage other companies to do the same thing, because it's, you know, right now Jamaica can't really interact. She can just watch. She can look up the TV schedule, and she has to be there unless her parents or her helpers can get it recorded or pull it up for her.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just another thing that you don't really think about, but it's obviously very helpful to be accessible and very important. But I would say that still there are a lot of things that are really lacking in accessibility. I would say most websites have accessibility barriers right now. And the problem is things are just moving so fast too, and that's why it's so important to, when you start design or start from the ground floor, you build in accessibility and you don't have to go back and try and work it in somehow. It's really important. Also, tools can be really expensive. I think there was a screen reader that was over $1,000. A screen reader literally reads, you know, what's on the screen to you. Another issue is that things become unsupported or discontinued. They are vulnerable. That was a big problem. I feel like it's getting better. I feel like her computer's getting better, but she's very vulnerable to attacks. The software might not be very robust, or another thing is, you know, pop-ups come up. We use our eyes to determine that that's garbage, just close it. But she's a screen reader and it's telling her computer is about to explode. She doesn't know, you know, it's just scary. And so she just turns it off because she doesn't know what else to do.
It's way scarier, and sometimes the computer shuts up on me and I have to turn it off for me to be able to get it back going again. I have to shut it off
So those are just a few things that can be problematic with these things. And I would say as more and more of our lives require using the internet, it's really important to look at accessibility and keep that at the forefront so that people don't get left behind. Yeah. Say equal access and equal opportunity to people with disabilities are essential. So now I'm going to introduce Jamaica. I know we've already introduced her, but we're going to talk a little bit about her and her computer and how she has things set up. So Jamaica, do you want to stand up for this part or do you want to sit down?
I want to stay seated for
Okay.
this part.
Jamaica's had a long day.
Yes.
So when did you lose your sight?
I have been blind since birth, so I've had no sight at all. I have plastic eyes, so it's prosthetic eyes.
So what do you find most challenging about being blind?
What I find most challenging is that when new staff come in and and they are not real interested in learning how to assist me with the computer, it is very difficult and hard because I'm trying to learn, trying to do what I need to do, and it gets really hard sometimes. And then the other thing is moving around in an environment that I don't know how to move around in. That's another big thing, and that's what my brother does, is he works with that area, and I have been his hardest student to work with.
Yeah, that would be my husband. And so who do you live with?
I live with my mom and dad.
And can you just explain a little more about your helpers? So she lives at home, but she also has helpers like the wonderful Evan.
I have about 15 helpers that work with me, and they each get some time with me. It just depends on what I want to do. But Evan has been the most delightful helper in the world. He just really understands about talking to me slowly and understanding about the keystrokes that I have to go through and things like that. So.
Yeah, so unfortunately there's a high turnover rate with helpers because Athens is such a, I don't know, transient place. Yes, thank you. And sometimes we get people that are really good with computers and it's nice, and sometimes we don't. And so training people can be challenging. So Jamaica has a desktop PC. She uses a lot. So how often are you on your computer?
Every day.
Every day.
Yes.
And what do you use it for mostly?
I mostly use it for email and communicating with people who I need to communicate with by email, and I also enjoy playing games on the computer some, and I enjoy looking up when I can look up information and send it to people that need it. So.
Yeah, Jamaica also is pretty involved in local politics, and she likes to listen to council meetings, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and so she pays attention to all that stuff. So she accesses all of that on her computer. And do you use it by yourself or with help?
I use it sometimes by myself, but most of the time I like to use it with helpers because I can hear it in a regular voice, whereas the voice that I'm about to work with is a robot voice, and so it is very hard sometimes to understand what it is trying to tell me. So
yeah, it gets tiresome
Yes.
listening to the screen reader. So it's nice to have somebody there, and also if something pops up that is unexpected, it's just easier with a helper there to click through it.
Or mom.
Or her mom, yeah. So she has, like I said, she has a desktop PC. She uses Windows, and the most important software for her is her screen reader. I have 3 listed up here. Right now, she just started using JAWS, which is really powerful. So a lot of professionals that need a screen reader will use JAWS. It works well with Office software. It works well with the Internet Explorer. There's also an open source one called NVDA, which is free, which is awesome. So it's awesome that there's something free, and that works really well with, she uses Thunderbird for her email, and that works well with Thunderbird. She also uses software called Duxbury, and it converts text to Braille and sends it to her Braille printer.
And that's also what Evan does a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
And so what do you print out?
Songs that we're doing for my special singing group that I go to on Thursday night. It's called Singing Circle, and sometimes hymns that have to be printed.
And sometimes she has to print hymns for church. So it'll print it out in Braille because she reads Braille. Like I said, she uses Thunderbird for her email and Firefox, which is kind of a new change. She was using Outlook, but then they changed the interface, and was it your screen reader didn't work well with it, or it just changed the interface? And
they stopped doing the Outlook Express.
She used Outlook
and
Express,
so that's
and they
what
stopped
I
using
used.
it.
And so that that's no longer usable. So I use the thing, and then with Internet Explorer, it's much more friendlier with y'all. Much more friendlier with JAWS than Firefox. So I'm going to be using Internet Explorer today.
Yeah, so the JAWS is newish for her, and she's having to move from Firefox back to Internet Explorer. I just had something to say, but I forgot what it was. So we're going to do a demonstration, and I'm going to get Jamaica up here. We're going to show some good websites, some bad websites, and some good software. And then, I'm right here, sweetie. And then if anybody wants to try to load a website and navigate the website with the screen reader, I would love volunteers. But we'll show you how to do it first. Let's see. I want to get you, there's some cords on the floor, but they're taped up, so you don't have to worry about them. Let me escape out of this and get you to the desktop. Hold on just a second. Hold on. Just take it away for a second. So I'm going to unmute it. Let's see.
Windows D, desktop, folder view, list view, not selected Jamaica, 24 of 48. To move to items, use the arrow keys. To edit the selected item, press F2. Folder view, list view.
Okay, so I'm going to go to
Internet?
Folder view, list view. Internet Explorer, 39 of 48. To move to items,
enter?
use the arrow, enter.
Sorry.
Internet Explorer, you're not connected to a network. You're not connected
done
to
this
a network.
before we started. Hold
This
on
page
just a
can't
second,
be
May.
displayed.
The Wi-Fi stuff is right behind you.
Perfect. It's like,
Menu.
oh, we don't need
View
that.
available network. To connect button. C. Leaving menus. Connect to a network. Cancel button. To ROUND. SPHER.
Oh, sorry.
REAPDNUR.
So now you guys get a true demonstration.
BEOURGUEST 1979. Enter. Cancel button. To activate, press spacebar. You're not connected to a network. Internet Explorer. Fix connection problems button. Google. Fix connection problems button.
All right, do you want to get your hands back up there?
Terms link. Forms mode.
Hold on. We got a pop. See, this is another thing. We got another pop-up.
Like using Google. Dialog. No thanks.
No thanks.
okay. So now I'm going to go to
You want to do Alt, right?
oh yeah. Okay. I don't know what I'm doing.
Okay, got it.
Alt
Alt menu bar, favorites. To navigate, press left or J. Jamaica submenu, J.
Hit enter.
Enter. American Council of the Blind, A.
Okay, I'm going to do this one first because it's,
Enter. Leaving menus, no
This is
thanks.
This is the good website. The really
American
good website.
Council of the Blind vertical bar. No
As you would
thanks
hope,
visited.
since it's the American
Navigation
Council for the
region,
Blind that is
RSS
accessible.
feed. To caps lock off. Caps lock on.
Now it's in the middle.
Caps lock off. Tab. HTTP tab. HDD tab. HDD tab. www tab. ACB parenting tab. ACB parenting video with audio description link.
H for heading.
I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. Yeah.
So she got down to the middle of the page, so she's got to reset it, right? Is that what you're doing?
I hit for, the links. Try to do links, but anyway, let's just do headings.
Okay.
Microsoft Accessibility Resources heading level 2.
Okay. All right. So that's the good website.
Yeah. So you want to explain a little bit how you get around?
It's where you can tab and it tells you what the different links are. If you don't have this, which I'm going to show you one that's not good right now, that is really
Alt F4. Set network location.
Hold on just a
Public
second.
network
Close
button.
it.
To activate, press space.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. All right, let's start over. You're on the desktop now.
Folder view, list view. Not selected Internet Explorer. 39 of 48. To move to items, use U. Yuga presentation.
Oops.
There you go.
I. Internet Explorer.
Okay.
Enter. Internet Explorer. Alt.
And then do
J. Jamaica submenu. J. Enter. American Council of the Blind. A.
Go down.
E. Leaving menus.
there you go.
Region search graphic. Emmanuel Church, Athens, GA:*home. Emmanuel Church, Athens, tab. News from the Narthex tab. Emmanuel tab. Online giving link, tab. Becoming a member link, tab. E-link.
right here. This is not even. This is the website that is the most unwelcome website in the world.
She has a lot of challenges with this website, which is
Mhm.
something that she really wanted to be able to access, but she
Mhm.
is unable to
Nope.
typically.
Mm-mm.
So you can see just hearing, you get kind of used
I
to
need
it.
to go sit down.
Okay, go ahead
I'm
and sit
sorry.
down. I'm just going to show another website. So one thing,
http://www.emmanuelathans.org/ address and search using Bing edit. http://search use CETE space MOSSACECB enter Bing.com banner end.
I just
Creature
wanted to
Comforts,
pull up a
dash
Facebook page
main,
to show
Creature
you
Comforts Facebook-Bing
is quite difficult.
Facebook.com.
So for a while there was, I don't know if it was one person or a group of people that was trying to create some open source, or actually no, it was a paid service, paid software to read the Facebook page. But then, Facebook updated its layout and updated everything about it. And so 6 months after they bought it, it was unsupported and done.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's hard, and it's hard. It's especially hard for younger people with what I call glance technology, where everybody socially is just glancing at pictures and information on their phone that's really hard to access. For instance, Instagram or Snapchat. My husband had a student, she's in high school, and she just simply couldn't really participate in that because she can't see the pictures,
Mm-hmm.
But for Facebook specifically, there's so much going on the page.
tab, password at tab, law tab, menu, sections of this page tab, leaving men tab, sign up button,
Yeah.
tab, profile picture link, tab, creech tab, tab, home tab,
I guess it
posts
did have
link,
accessibility help up there. But anyways, you can just imagine trying to get to your feed on Facebook and getting it to there and reading everything to you is pretty much impossible. One workaround that Meg figured out was she could have Facebook, email her when certain people she was following updated their status or commented on things, and that was a good way for her to keep track of people on Facebook and
Yes.
participate in social media.
And one other thing I did want to mention to you, but there is a actual Facebook that allows us to communicate with it. I just haven't had time to work with it very much, and so that's why I asked Rebecca if she'd do this part for me, because the website that you go to for visually impaired is m.facebook.com.
The mobile, okay.
Mhm.
That is interesting, right? I guess
Yes.
it's just a lot less. Yeah. There you go.
But it takes a while for me to move around and figure out what I'm trying to do.
So, does anybody want to try to navigate on a web page or
desktop,
pull
folder
up
view, list
a-
view, not selected Internet Explorer, 39 of 48. To move to items, use the arrow keys.
Pull up a
To edit the
website
selected item, press
without
F2.
looking?
GitHub.
Okay. I'm going to do it.
I don't want to try, but I do have a question.
Yeah.
So I think about 15 years ago or so, there was section 508 or what it was that said that all government websites had to have the proper alt tags and various things. I mean, not that Jamaica wants to spend her time searching government websites.
She actually does, to be honest.
But, has she found that to be a help? Or is that really kind of only in the government sector and it hasn't spilled over into the private sector?
It is legally required to spill over into, public websites, just as a building has to have a wheelchair ramp and accessibility features to physically enter the building. A government website must have accessibility features to make that information available to somebody.
And what my favorite thing is when the videos on the website actually are one part videos.
Yeah,
Because when you have to divide the video into different parts of it, it's like you hit part one, then when you get done with part one, you have to figure out how to hit the link for part two. Then when you hit the part two, you have to hit for part three. And that stuff is stuff that I'm still trying to work with,
Yeah.
trying to learn how to use.
That's
So-
a specific example. One of the local governments posts videos of their council meetings, and she likes to watch them, but they segment it, I guess, because I don't know, they put it on YouTube maybe or something, and
Yeah.
it's just hard for her to load them up. But yeah, Section 508. So I know.
Does that spill over into the nonprofit world for 501c3s? I mean, you've got 500 million of them.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I do know, I actually have a slide on it. I don't really ever make it to the 508 slide, but I'll pull it up so that we can look at it. When I worked on this presentation, I found that information. And basically, yeah, everything down to the computers and all the devices that they use within the federal government must be accessible. And I found that interesting. I didn't know that. But it does spill over to their websites, and local, cities and municipalities also must follow these rules to make their sites accessible. That doesn't necessarily mean that they do, but they should. And there's Section 508, and then there's also the American with Disabilities Act that includes a lot of information on this sort of thing. And I feel personally that they have, I mean, this can be kind of difficult to comb through all of their information, obviously, but I feel like they offer good guidelines, but better guidelines if you are non-government and don't have to comply to specific rules would be through the W3C, which I'll talk about in a minute. They kind of set the standard for accessibility programming, web programming. Well, I'm going to try and open a website. I'm going to be able to see the keyboard, but I won't look.
I'll do it. Okay, so
Okay.
I'm gonna do stop typing. Can we do just the voice commands?
Yeah, so you just listen. Don't look up here.
Okay.
I think it'd be wise for you to be able to look. Come over here and use the keyboard. You can't use a mouse, obviously, because you won't be able to see the cursor.
Sure.
But so basically,
But there is mouse keys on the keyboard, but
yeah.
I just haven't learned how to use. haven't learned
So
how to use
you
those.
want to open up Internet Explorer. You would hit I, because you're on the desktop.
Ireton View.
Okay, hit. What do you do if it's not on the I? Just hit I again.
I-N-Y.
There we go.
Enter.
That's it.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Did I select it?
You got it.
Enter.
See if you click.
Internet Explorer. Search edit.
Is it already selected on the search box?
It is.
It is.
Are we your helpers?
G.
Yeah.
T. B. Enter. GitHub-Google search. Search edit. Contains text. Tab. Google Apps button. Tab. Sign in link. Tab. Your security. Tab. Yes link. Tab. No, not in. Virtual find. G. T. A. U. B. Enter. Enter. GitHub-Google search.
Did I find it? No.
Shift enter.
I can't even see where tab is yet.
Just trying to find it, but there's like a few GitHub ads.
Yeah.
Where do you see like?
I don't.
So hit tab again. Let's
Tab.
see.
Google Apps button. Tab. Sign in link. Tab. Your security matters. Tab. Yes link. Tab. No, not
There it is.
interested
Stuck
link.
on the pop-up. That's
Yeah.
the problem. You can click enter because you're on no, I'm not interested. So click
Enter.
I think DuckDuckGo would be a lot better than Google. Let's try that.
Yeah, that's actually
Because it's
a
less
good point.
cluttered.
Less ads.
Yeah, less ads too. How do we get back to the search bar? Oh, I know.
You can
Alt
control
F4.
T.
TR. Enter. JAWS home use.
Oops.
What happened?
It opened JAWS instead of Internet
Oh
Explorer.
shit.
Okay, I would do Windows D.
Windows D. Desktop. Folder view. List view. TR.
So you can just press enter.
Enter. Internet Explorer. Empty search region. Empty search region.
How do I get up to the URL bar?
I would shift tab.
Shift tab. Search region.
Awesome.
Keep going.
Link. Shift tab. I'm feeling Jimmy button.
I'm looking at the keyboard, but that's because I'm used to typing on Colomac. Am I on the search bar?
Nope.
No.
Shift tab. Shift tab. Read tab. I'm tab. Privacy link. Tab. Terms link.
You could also try and open a new
L or,
tab,
command
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah,
Control T. Address
and that
insert
that'll put you in the address.
Enter.
address. Yeah.
So you just type duck go
New tab page.
instead of
I
duck
did?
duck go.
Oh, I typed doc, but apparently didn't get the first doc.
Try it
Am I
again.
still in the search bar?
Yes.
DUCK. DUCK. GOPM. Enter. Notification bar requires response. Press Alt plus N. We've updated your new tab with news and headlines tailored for you. Enjoy. Try it out. Switch back to change this at any time.
It's
Go to
hard,
tab
right?
Options or switch back now.
It's
TSB.
not
Enter.
easy,
S button.
no.
Notification bar requires tab.
worst.
DuckDuckGo link. Tab. 3 rightwards arrows link. Tab. Safe search : strict link. Tab. Anytime
Make it
link.
your default
Ah,
search.
voila.
Escape.
Alright, so am I in the search bar?
Tab.
You were
G-
really close. It was
Really close.
Shift tab. Anytime link. Shift tab. Safe search : strict link. Shift tab. 3 rightwards arrows link. Shift tab. DuckDuckGo link. Shift tab. We don't track you. Link.
we don't track.
We're getting close.
Shift tab. Status link. Shift tab. News link. Shift tab. Videos link. Shift tab. Images link. Shift tab. Web link.
I think you might have to
Enter.
tab through all of this
Oh,
at the
yeah.
top to
So
get
you go
down.
back or
Okay,
tab.
just
If you
I was
tab.
holding Shift Tab, yeah.
But if you do forward tab, it it'll
Tab,
go forward.
images link.
Keep going.
Shift
You've gotta
tab,
do it like
S
5
button.
times at
No,
least.
don't shift. Just tab
Tab,
it.
tab, tab, news link, tab, DuckDuckGo link,
Try it
tab,
again.
3 rightwards
Okay.
arrows link, tab,
Keep going.
safe search : strict link, tab,
going.
anytime link, tab, GitHub for dummies dash free shipping unqualified orders heading left tab, add heading level 2 link, tab, buy GitHub for dummies at Amazon, free shipping unqualified tab, Amazon.com link, tab, the world's leading tab, search
was
domain
it.
GitHub.com link
That's it.
graphic.
Leading software development platform.
All right, this is it?
Yep.
All right. We should just like wget all these pages and just read the source code. That would be much easier. All right.
They're wrapping to top, S button tab, web link,
No.
tab, images link.
No, I typed GIT. I thought I
No.
was in the
All right.
search bar.
No.
Hit tab again.
To GitHub.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Oh.
Shift tab, web link,
Oh, now you gotta
Tab
go,
about
there's like 20 more links now.
tap, 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 tap,
All right,
caps
try.
lock on, GitHub for dummies dash caps lock off, tab, add heading level 2 link,
Keep
tab,
going.
buy GitHub
See,
for
add
dummies
heading
at
level
Amazon,
2 link.
free shipping
Somebody
on
didn't,
qualified orders, link,
Take that out.
Uh-huh.
And so
tab,
that was
Amazon.com link,
probably whoever
Enter.
made the ad, I guess.
Amazon.com/GitHub for dummies.
Yay!
Well, thank you.
Amazon.com
Thank you for
GitHub for
doing it.
dummies. Page has 7 all Windows are run C M D enter C/Windows/system/IT enter Amazon.com/GitHub for dummies Internet Explorer.
Awesome.
Search
Well,
to
I think
change
that
the
was a
selection,
good
use the arrow key.
demonstration. Yay!
So now you can now you
down.
can please mute it.
Yeah. So, some people that are visually impaired but good at the computer, they speed up the voice. I don't know if anybody listens to podcasts a lot or to books on tape and you can speed up the voice. Well, people do that with this. And once you use it a lot, you kind of tune out the unimportant things. But and you can go a lot faster, but you can see there's a learning curve. Yeah. Do you have a question?
Yes. Have you ever considered using a text-based or primarily text-based browser such as Links or anything like that? Are those better or worse?
I'm not sure that she's ever done that. That's something that we could look into.
I've got Arch Linux on this flash drive right here. If you just want to plug it in.
My issue with so one thing is that her mom helps her a lot with the computer, and we have to keep it so that she is able to use it. And she's not able to jump around and learn new things really quick. But if it's just a text-based browser, that could be something we could look into.
Yes.
Install Sigwin, and then you can put links on Sigwin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I was looking for a pen to write that down, but maybe somebody can send it to me. I don't have a pen.
Yeah.
Oh, I got it.
Search it and save it as a link to
No, I'll send it to you on Slack right now so you don't have to write it down.
Perfect. Yeah, so that is one reason that we do use a graphical user interface, is so that her helpers can know what they're looking at, and her mom can help her as well.
If I just might comment, my concern with Sigma would be integration.
Would be integration with JAWS.
Yeah, I don't know if it'd work, but it'd be worth a try.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
sure.
not that big anyway.
Sure. And Jamaica has somebody here in town that also helps her a lot with her computer, who is also visually
And so she's
impaired.
coming in a few weeks, and that would be really neat for, if it worked out for you to come out to do it, Rebecca, to come out and
That's a good point. Will you
kind of-
remember to let me know the date?
Yeah, I can let you know. I can email you the date tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something we'll try that might work right now is Firefox is an easy reading view mode. And if you enable that, it might cut out enough of the clutter that it might work.
That's a good point
It's
too.
just a one click right up there in the URL.
Yeah,
bar,
yeah.
like of Firefox.
Especially for something like
Yeah.
or something like Facebook.
So
Yeah, give that a go.
let's test that out. Like I said, we're just starting to use Firefox because of.
And you
The-
can change your user agent
we're-
to be
we're
mobile
changing-
also, which might help.
We're working with Internet Explorer because Internet Explorer has the good
It works better with JAWS.
yeah, it works a whole lot better with JAWS, because I was trying to do with Firefox, and it was not working with Firefox to access much of anything. So, oops, I forgot one
Yeah, I
more.
wonder if Chrome is any better than Firefox.
One
I'm
more.
not sure. What is
What-
it, May?
One more thing that I've got to show is the app. For,
Oh, it's
Um,
okay. We'll just keep going.
Or even
But-
Safari, who knows if that's like a gem that no one
but I have this really neat app on the computer that allows me to access books that I want to read.
Do you want to come up and show it? This is a some software that a father wrote for his son. There's the Library of Congress. They make audiobooks available to people with visual impairment, and
So this is Windows. Okay, sorry.
and so a dad built this
Right here.
program for his son to access. It says it's already
Mm-hmm.
running.
To move to items, use the arrow keys.
Hold
To
on,
edit a
just a
selected
second.
item, press F2. Dialog. This program is already running. OK button. To
Click
activate,
OK.
press spacebar.
Press enter or spacebar.
Space. Dialog. This program is already running. OK button. To activate, press spacebar.
Press spacebar again.
Space.
Huh. I don't know.
I don't know.
Here, do you want me to just open it for you?
Yeah, will you just
Desktop.
will you
Folder
just do
view,
it?
List view. Bar
Here, just stay
Express.
right here. I've
5
got
of
it.
48. To move to items, use
Now
the
it's
arrow
open.
keys. To edit a
Okay.
selected item, press F2.
So this is a way for her to download books, audiobooks. She has a player to listen to audiobooks, and she really likes this program. She can navigate it really well.
Yes.
1, 2, 0, 3, 1
Yeah.
is now available left
Oh, is there's an update?
2,
We'll skip it.
Yeah.
How did you want to tab to the skip button?
Now, read only edit. Bar Express 1, 2, 0, 3, 1 is now caps lock on.
Oops.
Tab
And-
tab. Skip this
There you
version
go.
button. To activate, press
Hit enter.
spacebar. Enter. Bookshelf. Control B button.
And this
To
is her
activate,
mom's
press
laptop, so
spacebar.
she's not as familiar with it as her one at home.
Probably clean up a lot of icons off the desktop.
That's for her mom's sake. I actually did, to be honest with you.
So usually what normally happens is I arrow down and
There you
Wish list. Control W button. To activate,
Well,
press
I
spacebar.
think you
keep
do.
doing down. Keep
Yeah.
going down.
okay, sorry. Looking for the little buttons.
Recently
go.
added books and magazines. Most popular books. Control D button. Recently added books and magazines.
This is the one I go to
Control R
most
button.
often.
To activate, press
Because
spacebar.
This shows all the new books that have come in. So I'm done. Is that okay?
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
To move through items, press up or leaving menus. You can add a note with additional info. Press cancel button. To activate, press spacebar. Alt plus C. Recently added.
Yeah,
books and
so you
Control R button.
can
To
see
activate, press
so many things that we can just look at so quickly and assess what's happening that is so much harder to listen to because it's so much there. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, Jamaica, I was wondering how you hear about the new technologies that are coming out, like new software or new apps for visual impaired people.
Well, what happens is I go to actually access a group called the Council of the Blind, and they let us know about wonderful apps and updates to things. And then also I work with my helper, my teacher, computer teacher that comes to the home and works with with things as well. So, lets me know when updates need to be updated. So.
Yeah, she's also visually impaired, and she
Okay.
stays on top of a lot of that stuff. And she
Mhm.
meets with Jamaica. They try and meet almost once a month to just get help, and she'll come over and they'll talk about, things like that.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's one good way.
And I have a question can I ask a question for you all?
Yeah.
Does anybody know anything about Slack? And is that even friendly for visually impaired? Because
So, I have no idea how much accessibility stuff they have built in, but it is mostly text. Like people
Okay.
can put images and files in there, but by and large, the vast majority of communication in there is like actually people's messages to each other.
Mm-hmm.
If you really want to cut down, you can get an IRC client, and then you would just only have the text.
I think that gets
Yeah.
back to like it needs to also be accessible to her mom and to her
Yeah,
helpers.
just get like a IRCCS or whatever on Sigwin, and
Yeah, I think it would depend also on like what kind of community you wanted to communicate with in Slack, because there's different types of groups that have Slack channels, and so there definitely might be some that
Yeah,
would be
that might be good, Jamaica. How did you learn about Slack?
because one of my important things is wanting to go that way.
Oh.
To access some things. So
Okay.
I'm just trying to figure
We'll give it a shot.
figure all this out. So
So, like I said, the reason I'm here is I really feel it's important to understand the needs of people with visual impairment and just get a glimpse into what it's like. And I would venture to say that aesthetic and accessible design goals really lead to a higher end quality end product. There's a lot better focus that goes into it. And like we were talking about, local and state governments are required to ensure website accessibility. And it's just good practice. And I mentioned briefly before the Americans with Disabilities Act, which is also shortened to the ADA. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's one of the most comprehensive pieces of civil rights legislation. And it's basically stating that we as a country have decided that we will make sure that people with disabilities have opportunities as everyone else to participate in mainstream American life. And that's basically what it says. It's an awesome thing about our country that we should be proud of. And they have just really simple best practices for website accessibility. This is about as technical as the speech gets, but really simple things like the adding text equivalent for every image using either alt tags or longdesc tabs.
yes, most definitely, because some things pop up like forms, and you're trying to fill out a form, and the person just writes something like it just says edit box,
Yeah,
and you can't put in what part of the thing it needs to say.
Jamaica was
So-
trying to volunteer, was it 211 or
Yes,
211? And so she was trying to answer calls, and then she would put information in a form for the people that, she's answering the calls, but whoever designed the website did not make it accessible. And so she would tab through and it would just say edit box, instead of first name, last name, address, things like that. And, it's just these little things that are so simple, but we just need to know people need to know about them and why they're there,
And so
especially for forms.
And so Evan helps when those forms pop up. It's one of the really good helpers. He knows.
So forms
he's
and
doing.
then descriptive tags for links.
Mhm.
is important too. Just those
Yes.
descriptive tags that kind of can be a pain, and you're like, why am I doing this? It's all right there, but that's what the screen reader reads, are those tags, and so that's how they can navigate through websites. I mentioned also that W3C has a accessibility initiative. I would say they are considered the international standard for web accessibility, and there's really good information on their website that you can find, and it's easy to read through. It's brief when it needs to be brief. It's detailed when it needs to be detailed. They also have tools that can evaluate, if you do front-end web design, that can evaluate your design and the accessibility of it. And they also have a business case for including accessibility. So when you have to go to your team or your project manager or even your boss and explain why it's important, they give you a solid argument why it's important for a business to add accessibility, which I thought was a pretty neat thing. So, you know, you can read through it and be convinced yourself, and then also use that moving forward. And it's just, it's a great website if you want to learn more about it. And then these are just some guidelines that they have on there. I'm not going to read through them all. I don't think we need to sit through this, but I can, you know, it's going to be available so you can see it. Does anybody have any questions? Yes.
Actually, I have several, but I'll start with one.
Okay.
In the late 90s, I worked as technical support for a nonprofit, and one of the employees, in fact, one of the managers was blind.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, fortunately, we'd gotten the money to update his equipment. Unfortunately, he had a particularly important piece of equipment which was only for DOS. So the first part of the question is, first off, how much of an issue is loss of compatibility as different versions of system software?
It's a big issue. It happens. Everything's so fast paced now, and everything's changing so rapidly, and the interfaces are changing, and the front end and the back end, you know, and so it has been a problem, and especially not just with things working and having the tools that you needed, that you paid a lot of money for, but also just you have to spend so much time relearning things as new tools come out. But just like in a lot of industries with specific tools that have been built and then all of a sudden they're unsupported, it's a question of how do we move forward with this. So, yeah.
Actually, I did have a second part of that question.
Okay.
I apologize. The particular device in question was, if I recall it correctly, was called a pin embosser. It was a braille embosser.
Mm-hmm.
That was basically a set of pins with a sheet over it that would allow it to dynamically let him read in braille.
Oh, okay.
It would produce about maybe 5 lines of text at a time worth. I have not seen one of those before or since. Are those common? Did they present particular problems? Was that something that was tried and didn't really work out for people?
That's a good question. May does. She knows.
For me, I would have to say that there are braille displays that come into effect, but because of my left side being numb from a head injury, it takes a lot of work for me to just be able to read the songs that I want, the songs for me. So that's why I did not get a braille display. But there are many places that have braille displays, but we just don't know. I don't know. I mean, I can't access that very, very well because I had a lot of dyslexic in braille, so I did not learn as much as I should have.
Yeah. So in our particular case, no, but but there are some that are available that people use. Yeah, and
Mhm.
I don't know much about them, but I have heard about them. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
Just a quick update on Slack. Apparently, the web client is not accessible at all.
Okay.
iOS is an improvement, but still not very accessible. The Android client is like 90% accessible.
Okay.
They said, and the biggest recommendation is to use an IRC bridge, like what Miles was saying.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That requires
gotta live
you
in
to
a
help.
terminal.
Yeah.
And there
All
is
you need's a terminal.
there is actually a Slack channel for accessibility.
Cool.
Yeah, called Ally Slackers.
That's awesome.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, there's definitely a growing community. I've listened to a few talks from conferences, like different hacker conferences, and somebody was talking about, it was a lawyer who was doing work for a company, and they had all blind programmers, and he went to the office and he walked in and there are no monitors and the lights are off because they don't need it. And he was like, it made me realize this is a totally different world.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Like, well, we're not gonna pay for lights. We can't use them. We don't need monitors, obviously. So they don't. They're truly headless there. Yeah. Does anybody else have any other questions?
I've got a question.
Yeah.
Jamaica, do you ever get like when Miles was doing his presentation, he got like frustrated and just ended up in the wrong place? Does that ever happen? You just ever just give up and end up in a completely different location?
I do that, and that's when I get very frustrated is when I turn off the computer. That's what I do.
Just
Because
totally start over.
I just get frustrated, and so that's what I do.
All right. Yeah.
I know text-to-speech systems, synthesizers, have improved over the years. I recall trying to help my grandfather get on, of all things, FidoNet back in the early 90s, and the text-to-speech, the special purpose text-to-speech message reader that I'd set up for him was so awful. He just like, no, I can't stand, I would never be able to listen to that all day. And I know that it had improved certainly quite a bit by the time I was working at that nonprofit that I've mentioned. And they seem to have improved from what I've heard since then as well. How big an improvement, and is there any particular aspect, if I may address this to Jamaica directly, are there any particular aspects of text-to-speech synthesis that you find particularly problematic?
Well, I'm trying to think. My thing that I'm trying to think here on the answer to this, because this is kind of a hard question.
I noticed that it didn't pronounce things very well sometimes,
Right.
like proper names.
Yes.
I'm sure, like acronyms.
Mhm.
This is
Yes.
text-to-speech as of 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Windows 7 came out in 2009.
And so, I think I like the women's voices right now that I have on it because it's more clearer and it's understandable. Sometimes when I get a new computer or something, it's with this male voice and it's more like a robot, and so it is not my favorite thing to deal with the male voices. The female voices, and when you're doing a capital on something, I like to have that higher tone in there, because when the higher tone comes in, it knows that I hit a capital letter, and so that's something important, So those kinds of things. Does that kind of answer it?
Yes, actually, it does.
Yeah, and like we said before, she definitely gets tired of listening to it after an amount of time, and
Yeah.
it's not. Yeah, it takes some mental I don't know.
It
a lot
takes
to
a
sit there and
lot of
listen to it.
mental knowing of what keys you are to press and
That's
what
another thing.
sequence of keys you are to press to access anything. And then,
I'm sorry.
and then especially when you come to working with a computer that you're not really used to working on, that's doubly kind of hard. So that's why I like to have Evan here. So when Evan knows the language, because he works with the computer teacher all week, so he knows a lot. So
And we have dots on this keyboard for specific keys that help her find
yes,
where to go. Those dots are important. Yeah.
It might help the text-to-speech to upgrade to a newer operating system.
Well, so the text-to-speech program is JAWS, and so that is updated and up to date and new and supported. So, I mean, hopefully, I've heard of people doing voice donations for other people that actually have disabilities with speaking, and so when they type, it speaks for them. And I'm hoping that that will kind of merge into the screen readers for people that have to listen to this. I thought it was really interesting, the thing I heard. There are people who can't talk. Other people are donating their voices, and they have the script, and it takes quite a few hours, but eventually it will build this database, and they literally use their voice to talk. It's really neat, and I'm hoping nicer voices will come to the screen readers, just like they did to our GPS a long time ago. Like this needs to catch up. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know that when Apple did Siri, they specifically decided to use a voice database library rather than text-to-speech for more or less the same reason.
Yeah, and it's interesting Jamaica said that about a woman, because that's another reason why they use women voices, because people are more comfortable listening to a woman talk and tell them things. I'm not sure. It's interesting. I don't know exactly, but I know that there are scientific things you can read about that.
I got a little interesting tonight because Siri wasn't paying attention to what I was trying to tell it, because I was trying to text Rebecca because I needed something tonight. So
Yeah. And Siri
so
wasn't working for you?
Siri was being a little bit of a interesting. That's all I have to say.
Also, Siri sometimes has problems with the Miller's accent. I found, especially with my husband and her dad, they have a hard time getting her to understand them. Well, thank you guys.
Yes.
I'll just leave this up too. I never really make it to this slide, so I don't remember exactly what it says, but this is just a little blurb on the 508 standards.
Can you tell when a website hits those 508 standards? And I say that because I had to do a website once that used them, and I thought that the lowest bar, which, I mean, let's be honest, is what I was looking for, was like ridiculously easy to hit, and it didn't seem like it would be that helpful. Are you able to speak to how helpful those actually are?
I don't know the answer to that, but what I would say is to look at the tools that W3C offers for testing.
Do those tools come with the ability to, can you basically run a site through those tools?
I think so, yeah. And then another thing, since NVDA, the screen reader NVDA is free and open source, if you're really motivated, you could install that and just do a trial, and listen to how it runs through your headers and all your different tags on your page, and make sure that it doesn't jump from one down to the middle of the page and then jump back up, that it goes through in a order that makes sense and that it's reading everything correctly.
And JAWS is the one that costs over $1,000 to get.
Yeah, JAWS is really expensive, but
Yes.
NVDA is free.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't want to
No, it's fine.
But I did have one other question, and I'm concerned that it's going to be maybe a little too specific and technical regarding web development. There is a thing called, it was one of the key points of what was called Web 2.0 about 10 years ago, something called the semantic web, which was an attempt with varying degrees of success to improve the semantic information, the information about web pages that was included with the pages themselves, so that it would be easier for things like text-to-speech synthesizers and different kinds of alternate web browsers to handle web pages. Unfortunately, while it comes up every once in a while, it never really seemed to get a lot of traction in the general community. Do you know anything? Do any of the three of you know anything about that?
I don't.
No, I don't. I'm sorry.
I don't.
Do
I
you
don't.
know
I do know that, like I said at the beginning, there are websites that are accessible, and then there are some that just aren't. And
No.
and I feel like it's such a fast-paced industry that people aren't going to slow down really, and so that's why it's important to try and get people focused on keeping all of this up to speed as well, right?
So I know that one of the problems that is very common, although it seems to be backing off a little bit in the past few years, is the use of text in image form.
Yeah.
Especially things like logos and such. It's especially common on what are called single-page applications.
Yeah.
And even just for someone who's doing certain things like screen scraping and such, it's a real headache, real bad. Is that a major sum? I mean,
That is a
I'm
big,
certain it's
yeah.
a big issue.
Yeah.
But is it so common that
It's very common. So a lot of people will create logos or images with text in it. And if you don't add a descriptive tag to that image when you're programming it, then it's not accessible. It just isn't. And you can't see. So, if you want to set your bar high, you want to add very clear descriptions for each image as you load them to say, not just, picture of a woman, but you want to convey the information that somebody that looks at it gets through the text.
Like, for instance, you could say a lady with long blonde hair is standing singing as a soloist or something like that.
Will here be a helpful description, even despite the color?
For May, yeah, she loves hair.
I'm kind of related though. How do things like scripting interact with the screen readers? Because again, that presents a big problem when you're doing what's called screen scraping, which is trying to get data from the website into a different program. Does it do scripted elements? present a big
I mean,
problem?
I don't think that there are, like, say for instance, Flash. I'm not sure that Flash is accessible, but I don't know. I can't
No,
tell
Flash is not really.
you. She can tell you.
No, Flash is not really accessible, but I update it for when I'm watching the videos for online. But that's
Yeah.
about it.
Dead anyway.
Yeah.
So you're talking about the headings and moving through the page in a chronological, when you're from top to bottom. Do what type of heading it is? Does that help? Is that because with and kind of one thing we talked about with Web 2.0 stuff, especially with more of a componentized driven system, there have been a lot of people that from top down have said the heading, like, you can have several H1s on a page where used to be the H1 was the title of the page, that's it. But now with different components being pulled in each individual page, do those headings matter anymore? Do they matter the way they're supposed to matter? Or is it all just come across as a heading and that's kind of it?
The headings do require you to put in what the heading is, because I think that's very important, because if you don't put the heading, if you don't put what it is, it's not going to mean anything. So like there are some websites that just put heading. That's all they put. They don't put what the heading is. Like for instance, heading on the American Council of the Blind website, they have those headings, and so if you hit Control or just, I think it's Control H, but I could be wrong. I'm a bit confused, but anyway, I think it's Control H, and you automatically can go to all the headings on the page
Yeah.
at once.
Does it determine like hierarchy of the headings at all?
Yeah, I believe it does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. I'm really glad that you had us here. Thank you so much for having us and listening to us, and
Thank you for coming.
yeah. Thanks. Have a good evening.
Mm-hmm.